Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is unashamedly in the narrative structure. That's what we're really kind of exploring. And that the narrative structure for your life, of your hero quest, your current path, your current aims. And it's built upon my receiving, or inspired by my just purchasing the latest edition of the Citadel Oracle, which you see some cards from here. In the limited edition that also has an emblem oracle that comes along with it, which will also be used in this deck. And the thing that really drew me to this deck is that it is very much around the sort of archetypes and characters that you would have in literature, in a narrative. Indeed, with the limited edition version of this that I purchased, there's actually instructions to use the cards in a role play game if one wants. So it very much has that kind of structure. So what I want to do today is borrow from that and use it for a particular way of exploring your hero quest at the moment, whatever that might be. Looking at your role, and then two other pivotal roles that tend to turn up in any great narrative. There is the ally role, and this could be a friend, a lover, a colleague. It could even be a spirit guide or a treasured pet. Anything that is a support for you. And then also the antagonist, the adversary, the challenger, whoever that might be. And again, in whatever form that might take. Could even for some be a shadow side of yourself. Though I think in the structure of this reading, we're really going to look at it as though it's another person. So we're going to focus on those three roles and what the journey is for them, and what the roles are for you, and then for the other characters, and how that interplays, and look at aspects of each too. So we're really just exploring, in a sense, the main characters and how that plays out for your particular hero journey, and what guidance you can get, what your special magic is and your secret advantage, so that you win the quest. Now, I should note that I'm filming this because I couldn't wait, so I started as soon as I got this deck. And you may notice that the lighting is shifting a bit. We're sort of heading into early evening, coming into early evening here in Sydney as I'm filming, and so the sun is setting and it's sort of throwing shadows sometimes, more or less. So I thought in a kind of way that fits with the energy of this. You know, what do we see, what don't we see, and so forth, which will be part of what we explore. So to help you choose the pile to go to, I'll put down the numbers as always. So this is 3 cards that I shuffled and asked Spirit for your role. So in each pile, this is the role that you will take. And then there are 2 other cards under it. I don't know what they are, which will be the ally and the adversary, and we'll build from there. So for pile number 1, we have the acolyte. So this may draw you if you are starting on something new. It talks about new projects and learning. If you are starting on a journey of discovery, of education, of learning in some broader way, exploration, or even starting a new spiritual practice, something like that, the acolyte might draw to you as an energy for your hero quest at the moment. The second pile is the fate. Now this talks about accepting help and guidance, but I think this is to draw anyone who feels that there is a destiny to what they're doing at the moment, synchronicities are coming into play. Somehow you feel a bit like you are not entirely in control of what's happening, that there are greater forces around your hero quest at the moment. And then the third pile has the champion, about achievement or downfall. So the high risk, high stakes sort of energy, where you're going after something where winning or losing is the key thing. So those energies may draw you, otherwise just go for the image or the number or whatever else does draw you when you know what reading. And you can go to more than one. There might be 2 different hero quests that you're doing that take up different aspects of these particular archetypes, but when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below as always, and I will see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the acolyte, so that is you. Your ally here is the priest. Your adversary is the adventurer. So this is interesting because the acolyte, as I said in the introduction, suggests that part of your hero's journey or your quest at the moment, whatever you want to say, has to do with learning and starting something new. And almost starting at the beginning and following through the processes, you know, new projects is very much like the aces in the tarot deck, or even the Fool to some degree, though they're probably a bit further along than the Fool. The Acolyte actually has decided on something that they want to learn, something that is right for them. So maybe a little bit further in the Major Arcana in that sense, but it's certainly a sense of new beginnings. So your role is to explore. Your role is to learn and to do it within some form of structure, some form of understanding. It would be classic for someone to come to this reading who is starting some academic study or starting to learn a spiritual discipline, maybe learning martial arts or learning some form of particular meditation practice, for instance, or shamanism or something like that. But you're right at the beginning stages. And so you're looking for the chance to expand and to learn, and you're very dedicated to what is happening. Now, your guide is very much suggests this could be very spiritual in some way, because we have the priest about perseverance and faith. This, I think, is someone further along the path than you. This is a teacher, literally a priest or a spiritual leader or spiritual advisor for you. So there's definitely a sense here that you are being guided. And this ally is further, as I say, further along the path than you. So this isn't a Frodo and Samwise type of relationship. It's a bit more like Frodo and Gandalf, actually, if you were going to use a Lord of the Rings sort of reference. So there is a wisdom in your ally, and I feel as though they are a guide or a teacher for you in some way. So if you've started, as I say, academic study, it could be a tutor, or it could be a fellow student who's done more of a particular discipline, for instance, but it's someone who is equally dedicated on a spiritual level to what is going on as you are. On the other hand, the adversary or challenge for you may indeed be a friend or something like that, because we've got the adventurer. These two both belong, you can see here with the pyramid pointing upwards with the slightly sort of cut between the top and the base of it. This represents in the archetypal structure of this that these are both in what they call the academy. So this is very much about learning, as I say, a higher learning development. The adventurer is in what they call the troop, and this is more creative, more artistic, more anarchic. And they are looking at what they can adventure and do, and because to some degree this normally comes up when they felt like they've had too much of a weight on them. They want to actually now explore and do something new. So this could be a fellow studier if you're studying. It could be a fellow workmate if this is somewhere within work. It could be a teammate in some way, or it could just be someone who's actually done quite a bit of this, has gone further along the line and has actually found it too much of a burden and wants to break free, or someone who is not connected to this at all but has, for other reasons in their life, feeling it's time to have fun, it's time to go on a holiday. So it could be that the main thing here is that you are wanting to be dedicated to some new project, some new study, some new thing, and you have a friend or somebody around you who's, a family member or somebody like that who's a little bit of a bad influence. They're trying to draw you away to fun because they don't want the responsibility, and they can sort of see you have the responsibility. So it may not be that they are meaning to compete with you. In fact, it doesn't feel like your adversary or your challenge is a competitor in this space. It feels more like it's a distraction. So I think whatever this is the dedication that helps draw you back. This is the distraction that draws you away. So that's interesting in terms of what your journey may be. So let's get some information with tarot. So we'll just move the characters up here, and we'll ask for each of them what the role in this particular narrative is. So for you, firstly, what is the nature of your hero journey at the moment? If we know it's about starting something new, something that's going to require dedication in some way, what else can we learn about that for you, pile one? Two of Cups, 10 of Cups reversed, 4 of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, 7 of Swords. Now, I talked about the aces. It doesn't surprise me at all that an ace came up. This tells me that there's something very material about this. It feels, as I said, it could be new study and things like that, though I would have expected more the Ace of Swords to turn up for this. This feels more like a new job, a new responsibility, even potentially a new love. Now, this could be literally that you are thinking about taking a relationship that's new to a much more dedicated level. A priest could literally be somebody who is actually helping you in that kind of a spiritual or sort of structural way move towards that, or giving you the guidance to do that. And this could be someone who thinks, no, don't give up your freedom. It could be that kind of energy as well. When we got Two of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles, there's certainly something about connecting with others and making a choice that is close to your heart, but which is a material choice. Looks like you're breaking away from something as well, something that no longer serves you. So this could be, you know, friendship group that was fun and it was all very hedonistic and wonderful, but now you're ready to move into something else. You want something that's more stable, something that gives you a sense of home and a sense of direction. Or it could be that you're breaking away from a family structure, a family belief system, a family set of values, to make your own family or to make your own sort of soul tribe or something like that. And you're having to negotiate it a bit with the Seven of Swords. And it's not entirely, you have to be careful about what information's coming to you. So I feel like the adventurer here, as I say, is like a distraction, like a whispering, you know, devil on your shoulder that says, you know, there's time for fun as well. You know, don't get old before your time. Don't, you know, take on a burden too early. Whereas the priest over here will be saying, this is what you get from this. You'll get sort of like that emotional happiness. You'll build something real for yourself. You'll create the home that you're looking for, particularly if you felt not at home or felt that you didn't get that, you know, in former situations, work or home or otherwise. But there's a kind of an almost negotiating energy that you have to deal with here. It's like, where do you put your energy and how do you meet the requirements while also potentially, you know, having friends or having, you know, other things in your life. There's something about negotiating the terms of this at the moment, and while you're still at a very early stage of working out what it is this could be to you. So I think there's a lot here about what are you prepared to put into this, what do you expect to get out of it, and how do you reconcile, I think, an existing or even a series of existing friendships, family, whatever it might be, that kind of think this is all getting a bit too serious. So I think you are establishing your new world and having to negotiate it. That's what we're looking at the moment in some way. And it could literally be something like you're getting married. You're getting married and your friends aren't really happy that you're not going to be single anymore or something like that. But that's just an example. For many of you, this might be, as I say, a new job, a new sort of spiritual approach, something that does require more grounding and more sort of understanding of the emotional impact on others. And this is an energy pulling you in another direction. So let's see what the priest brings to this. What is the role of your ally in your quest, pile one? Knight of Swords reversed. King of Wands reversed. The Emperor reversed. Eight of Wands reversed. Okay. For a start, they're slowing you down and they're bringing you to something that's a bit more conservative. And it doesn't, I mean, I don't mean politically necessarily. I'm just meaning like they're getting you to slow down, focus on something. This energy, I think, is the adventurer. They know this person actually has quite a bit of influence on you or has some sort of power. Like they literally could be like a boss or something like that. Like you could literally be in a situation where you're really trying to focus on some sort of new project or whatever, and somebody who's more senior to you wants you to kind of, you know, go off and have fun all the time rather than focus on that. They could even be someone who is battling for something within a workplace, and how it's playing out is that they're almost undermining anybody who's going towards what the structure is because they're after that. There's something going on. This character kind of sees what's going on with the adversary by the looks of things, and he or she is trying to just slow you down a bit so that you can see it for yourself. Also, I think the priest is saying to you to remember that you're at the acolyte, that you're at the beginning level. It's sort of like you will eventually potentially be a king and emperor and like take on that kind of, you know, leadership role yourself. This is it has a great potential, whatever this is, for you to really come into your own sovereignty with it, but you're not there yet. So it's also slowing you down and getting you to go through the steps, while again, the adventure is maybe calling you off in another direction. So let's have a look at what the adversary is doing. So the adventurer over here. Ace of Wands reversed. Justice. Temperance reversed. The Empress reversed. Okay. Now this is really interesting because we've got the Ten of Cups reversed here. And we've got the Emperor reversed. Now we've got the Empress reversed. For some of you, this is probably playing out around the role of family in some ways. I say it could be that you are about to embark on setting up your own family, moving out of your family. Maybe there is pressure from your family not to do that, or maybe there's your friends are sort of saying you're taking on too much responsibility, or even one of your parents is saying that. It's very interesting that we've got both the Emperor and the Empress reversed. So there's a sense, I think, here that this is a step into a new life where you do take on more responsibility, more of a mature role. And that doesn't mean that you're not mature, but there's a kind of a evolutionary feeling to this. And it's moving away from old patterns. So this energy is trying to take you a bit off balance, because you've got Justice on one hand. They'll argue. They're very clever. I think the Seven of Swords is picking up the Adventurer, so is the Justice. They're very clever. They're very good with words. They're very persuasive, but they're not particularly balanced themselves. And they want to, if they're not going to be balanced, they don't want other people to be balanced. It's also possible, I have to say, that what could be happening here with Justice and Temperance reverse is they may have a huge chip on their shoulder. What could be going on here is that this could be a scenario where in a workplace you've been chosen to go up the leadership line, for instance, and you're going to have a mentor and a coach over here. This person put a lot of work in and feels like they were overlooked, and now they're just wanting to kind of take their bat and ball and go home, and they're almost trying to undermine it. So that is possible. I think for most of you it's not really a competitive thing, but for some it could be, because there's something here where they either think things are not fair, or they certainly don't like when things become very conventional, legal and all that kind of thing. So they're trying to raise doubts about what you're passionate about, what is new that you're starting. And there's a thing where they do give you some support, some friendship, some nourishment. They may have felt like an ally a lot of the time, but they're holding that back. They're holding that back and saying, if you go forward with this, then, that's the end of the fun, sort of thing. So as I say, it's either sort of someone who got overlooked and you might have thought they were a friend, but there's an energy where they're actually trying to undermine, or they just want to distract you and pull you away from it, and they're not happy if you start to get very, very sort of focused, because they get to have less fun, or they feel they have to do that and they don't want to do that. So they want the distraction. So it's an interesting sort of situation to be in. Let's get a little bit more idea about each of you then. So we're going to understand more about this dynamic. I'm going to use a number of oracles, including, as I said, the emblem oracle that came with the Citadel oracle, to get more of an idea about each of you in this and aspects that are playing out. So firstly, we'll start with the emblem oracle. So the emblem oracle, this is to show aspects, sort of energies that are also playing out for each of you. So firstly, for you, in this particular scenario, the pomegranate, vitality, sensuality, bodily autonomy. Okay, so there is something about love, connection. I do think for some of you this is about a new relationship. Maybe it's just a friend who's not happy you've headed off to do something a bit more serious. Or it might be that you're really coming into who you are in terms of sensuality and so forth, and you want to give it a structure to give it a sense, like a kind of spiritual aspect, and maybe this energy over here is, no, who cares about that? Let's just have fun. There's sort of something where you're dealing with that. It's interesting too with the pomegranate, because it's the fruit that Persephone ate when she was in Hades. So I think there's a dual message here in this. It makes me feel as though your sensuality could either draw you towards what your actual goal is and your hero's quest and the structure and the guidance that you need, but it could also draw you towards the opposite. Now, with the two decks also came a coin that appears to have an open eye and a shut eye on it. So for each of these emblems, I'm going to off screen so I don't break the camera, I'm going to just flip this coin to see whether or not this is something with an open eye you're very aware of, or with a closed eye you're not aware of. And ditto for the two other characters. So for you around the pomegranate, we have the open eye. So so that's good. You're very aware of the fact that there is something about love, sensuality, vitality, autonomy, all of that sort of stuff. It's something about what you are now learning about is going to help you with that, and you're very well aware of the power of that energy. So that's good. You're less likely to have it drawn over into that part. Let's ask about an emblem for the priest. So the person who is guiding you, giving you some sort of spiritual support, academic support, whatever it might be for this new venture. The emblem for them is the knot, stability, security, and resilience. So yeah, that's what they represent. But there is a tie to this, and it could literally be, I mean, this could literally be that you're about to get married and this is the priest who's tying the knot. Like there could be a very, very literal thing here. It's interesting. Let's see whether or not the priest is aware of the fact that they are having that role for you. Open eye. Yeah, they know. So they're very well aware. Oh, hang on. No, that's the closed eye. No, they're not. So that's interesting. So they're probably not aware of the drive that's going on here, but they're probably not aware. They're giving you some guidance or some support, and they're being your ally, but they're not necessarily seeing that they could be tying you towards something, or that this is just what stability is for you. So there's a degree to which they're not fully awake to the implications of the support that they're giving you. Okay, so let's look at the adventurer. Let's see the emblem for the adventurer's input to this. Signpost, indecision, multiplicity, crossroads. Yeah. This is the Seven of Swords. Kind of all the kind of directions. Just it's a distraction. It's like it's confusing you at the point that you would make a decision. So the priest over here will help you not be confused. Will give you a structure, but it could kind of tie you to something to some degree. Over here, the adventurer just wants you to kind of go every which way. Let's see whether they're aware of that or not. Yeah, eyes wide open. They know what they're doing. They know that they want to sort of draw you into their world of infinite possibility. Whereas the priest wants to sort of help you out in learning what you want to learn, in managing the issues that you want to manage, in coming to the outcome and the goal that you have. But they're possibly not aware that there are some sort of implications around, tying you to something. Okay, so we also want to look at the shadow. So I'm using the Lilith Oracle for that, the shadow that you have and that both other characters have. So the shadow that you are dealing with around this new venture. Lilith herself, independence, freedom, sexuality. Oh, there's something around love, sexuality. That's why we have the Two of Cups coming up. There's something about that in all of this. It's a new way of dealing with that, a new understanding of that. And it's not necessarily shadow in a bad way. I mean, Lilith but Lilith needed her freedom and she needed to be recognized in some way. So it may be that part of the thing, because she was Adam's first wife and then was sort of like done over for Eve. So there's maybe part of the issue for you around this is where you would be most recognized. Is this energy drawing you to recognize you and what you're trying to become, or is this energy drawing you? So let's have a look at the priest. What shadow energy is around the priest? The web, destiny, connections, habits, like the web, the knot. So this is interesting. So this is your ally for what you're genuinely trying to do, to deal with all of this energy. But there is a bit of a risk associated with it as well. So although the energy around this is distracting and not helpful for what you're trying to do, you do need, I think, to keep some of Lilith's independence. This shadow will actually work for you because you could get drawn into a different form of trap. And I don't think the priest means to do it, but this is the shadow energy of that kind of ally. Okay, so let's look at the adversary, the adventurer over there. The thunderstorm, ferocity, anger, unpredictability. Okay, so they may act out. Because there is something with that Emperor reversed, Empress reversed, there is something kind of a little bit emotionally and sort of power-wise volatile about this person. So they may, if they feel that you're not there anymore, they may act out. They may get angry. So you need to be aware of that, and you need to be clear about why you're doing what you're doing, I think, so that you don't get drawn into that just to kind of make them feel less angry. Okay, let's also have a look at a couple of personality aspects for each of you as well too that could be playing out in this situation. So for you, we have, okay, snake. So you could be born in the year of the snake. Those years are there. Now, bear in mind with Chinese astrology that it's not January to December. It's actually the end of January through to the beginning of February the next year. So if you want to work out whether you're literally born in that time. But otherwise, the personality of the snake is clever. They're curious. So your cleverness, your curiousness, what you want to do with that. There's wisdom there. You can be calculating when necessary. I think you do need to be necessary. There is a calculation going on here. So that side of you will be helpful, and will be helpful with that Seven of Swords. Your own capacity to understand and be clear and negotiate this balance is going to be important. For the priest, camo, hidden, protective, outdoors. Okay, so I doubt the priest is outdoors. So it depends on what you're doing. You know, if you're kind of like working on your sort of like, it's a personal trainer, for instance, you know, it's helping you really love your body and get into your body and do all that kind of thing rather than going off and carousing and you know, eating bad food or something, then it could be outdoors. But I think there is sort of something a little bit sort of secret, a little bit hidden here. The priest is not going to be as flamboyant and open and theatrical as the adventurer is. And pink, rosy cheeks, loving, playful, sweet. So they have their sweet side when they're not being frustrated. They come across as sweet. They come across as fun, playful. Look, oh, we were just going to have a bit of fun. Don't worry about it. That's, you know, like, but it does draw you away. It is a distraction. I think you like this person, but they are a bit volatile and they're not ready. If you're ready to settle down into something and so forth, they aren't. So, but, you know, they can be quite alluring. We use one other deck for other psychological aspects. So for you, tune, resonance. Okay, you are getting in tune with yourself. Music could help you as well too, to sort of like clear the air, to work out things, even to kind of, you know, come up with your plans, to learn, whatever this is. But like you're trying to get in tune with yourself, in tune with your sexuality, with your love nature, with your spirituality, all of those sort of things, you know, and to be free and to be resonant. But this is, you're trying to do something that has some heft to it, that has some longer term outcome that you can believe in. And so staying in tune with yourself is helpful. You're like, this is a little bit discordant. This may be too classic. You might be kind of a little bit more rock and roll. but being in tune with yourself will be really helpful. For the priest, another aspect of that kind of energy around you. Destructiveness. Okay. Now that's interesting because this is your ally. I think, you know, this feels more and more, it feels either like, well, there is the capacity, this could be like getting, you know, like this is a priest who ties the knot, getting married, all that kind of thing, takes you through all that. But this feels like a really quite disciplined and challenging thing that you're doing. So whatever it is, you know, a new job, a new academic study, whatever it is, or even like going into sort of like setting up a family and living with these things, there is a bit of a forbidding energy about your ally. They're going to help you do it, but they are very my way or the highway. Very my way or the highway. So although they are an ally and they're the one I think that you've chosen, I think you have to be aware of that in the longer term. And if this is like a new boss or whatever, I would say learn from them, definitely. You're going to sort of like have accelerated learning, but they may not be someone to stay with for a long time because you get caught in a kind of a web. So that's interesting. We've got in this, the ally is potentially also an issue further down the track. Let's have a look at the distractor over here. Alimentiveness, appetite, gluttony, yeah, drunkenness. Yeah, this is someone who wants to have a good time. So this is very disciplined. This is lack of discipline. And you're trying, I think, to find a balance so that you can have something and learn something. And this certainly is the side where you're going to learn more. But it's going to be, as I say, rigorous. It's not an easy quest to do, and you do it for a period of time. Otherwise, you get caught in something and you lose some of the freedom. I think Lilith is actually really important for you here. It might be your shadow, but it's really important, and you need to have that to fully express yourself. But if you go over here with this one, because this is getting really difficult, and I think this might be the thing we're saying, if this gets really challenging, you might get more and more drawn over here, but that hasn't got a direction to it. And so if you're really trying to learn something and you're really trying to establish something for yourself, there is a risk of being distracted over there because this is difficult. So there's something challenging in what you are the acolyte for. But you can do it, Pole 1. You just need to be aware of the timing of that and the implications of that. So let's get you some astrology or numerology to help you with this balance. The moon. Okay, so your emotional core, go back to your emotional core, to your loved nature, all of that sort of thing, and to what feels resonant to you. That's going to be a very good guide for if this is getting too tough and you need to sort of like back off it a bit, or if that's being too distracting. Waning crescent moon. So the waning crescent moon is about letting go of things that aren't working. I think there is a kind of letting go of just having a good time to do this for a period of time. But then there is a point at which you can also loosen up that as well. It's like you go to boot camp, and boot camp is really full on when you're there and you can't go off and have fun. But eventually you get what you get out of boot camp. That's kind of what it looks like, as an example. And sextile, in the end, it's going to be easier than you think. So if this looks a bit punishing, you're still going to be able to do it, and I think you're going to be able to balance it. But the sextile is also drawing you towards ease, and it's interesting. It almost looks like it's pointing towards the adversary. So let's just see what planets are involved in the sextile to see what you need to kind of use to the best thing. So bear with me. It takes a little while to get a planet. Saturn. Yeah, so Saturn over there. Saturn is that one over there. That's sort of like the discipline and the age and the maturity. And Uranus, oh, there you go, because that's the sort of transformation and the sort of like wild energy. So it is saying that you will be able to find the way, if you go to your emotional core, how to balance those two. It's almost like if these were two people that are important in your life, you're going to probably be able to keep both of them in your life, but you've just got to kind of find that balance, because somewhere in the middle of that is where you move from being an acolyte to being a master. Okay, what magic do you bring to this, Pole 1, to your hero quest? Move. Oh, look, yeah, boot camp. I don't know, just keeping moving. The issue with this one over here is it's sort of like moving without a direction. This is moving with a direction, and it's discipline. There's something about discipline in this, and your body, like being within your body. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. And activation. Yeah, it's in doing that. You're activating your own eventual sort of priesthood or sovereignty or something. This is a process, and you're just starting it out. So, and it's interesting, this has this triangle here now. In this deck, the triangle that is completely formed is part of the court, so part of the ruling class in a way. So there is a direction for you towards being sovereign in your own way. This is the beginning, but you've got to do the discipline for as long as it's necessary, but still keep who you are and not get distracted. So last but not least, let's just get you a card from the Rainbow Oracle for your hidden advantage in this narrative, Pole 1. Creative soul. You're a highly intuitive, artistic being. Give form to your imagination and explore your creative expression. So that's probably how you balance the discipline and the tumultuous. It's something in your creative. What are you trying to create? What are you trying to create? The passion, the sensuality, the independence, the freedom, who you are. Your creativity is going to be the thing that balances it. And this is, I mean, again, this could be that you're learning a particular creative path and you need to learn all the form and structure, and then eventually you'll be able to break free from it. But if somebody's sort of like drawing you away from it all the time, it takes a lot longer, or you don't get as much of that as you could. So I hope that resonates for you, Paul. One, it was a really interesting narrative and a really interesting sort of dynamic between the ally and the challenger adversary. I hope it resonates. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, part 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Fate, and probably it's almost inevitable that that's going to be a very interesting reading, because that suggests there is something fated around what you do, and that there are unseen forces or energies that are operating that you don't necessarily have a lot of control over, or you may not fully understand, and you're looking for help. Now, the interesting thing in this spread is that this is your ally and this is your adversary. And it's very interesting that an adversary could be a guide. Now, in this particular deck, the guide actually, in a sense, has inherited their position, and they are there to correct wrongs. So they have a very, very disciplined sort of role potentially, but not necessarily one that they're happy in. And then over here with the Hound, which is your ally, they're very loyal. This talks about loyalty, but there's sort of like there's almost a dedication that's come from something else. This looks to me like in your life, your next hero quest or what's going on at the moment, something is happening that is fated. You have a fate, a destiny. You have a loyal companion, but they've made it almost a promise to help you or support you. But it's not necessarily an easy thing. It's not necessarily an easy thing, and it's almost required, again, because of outside forces. They may not even be a natural ally or friend to you. They could be, but it just sort of feels like they have to do it too. They are, as all three players in this are in this regardless of whether you wanted to be in it or not. And you, no matter what, you might want to be able to control and do your destiny, but you know you need the help and the guidance. So you kind of need the adversary and you need your ally, and they're both going to be important in you actually achieving what this is. So it's almost as though the adversary is only because this guidance is given almost unwillingly. It's almost, okay, I have to help you. So, say this was, you found yourself in a new job and you kind of like you hadn't even chosen it, but there's sort of someone who has been there and done it and knows it, and they can help you. And they will, to make sure that things don't go wrong, but they're not happy about it. So they're not going to be sympathetic to any of your issues, really. And then there's someone else who supports you because they have to. So it's interesting. It feels quite political or social. Like it's bigger than sort of just day-to-day stuff by the looks of things. So we're going to have a look at it with tarot. We're going to ask firstly about what your hero journey is at the moment with this. Then we're going to ask the role of the ally and then the role of the adversary. So a little bit more information to see what this fated thing is that you're connected to at the moment. The World, yeah, it's big. The Seven of Pentacles reversed. The Ace of Cups reversed. Page of Swords reversed, the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, yeah. It's big. It's got a legacy associated with it. Yeah, there's a lot of gravitas around this. Whether like big is a relative term. It could be sort of something that is just around sort of like a small group in your immediate circle at the moment, but it's got a very cradle to grave almost feeling about it. It's like it's got gravitas, and it's meant to establish something. And it's part of the establishment in a way, or the establishment of a new order in some way, with the Seven of Pentacles reversed. There's no love lost in this, I've got to say. Whatever this is, even with your ally, I think, but particularly, say, with the guide, this is not an alliance. These are not alliances or even kind of, clashes that come from the heart. And the communication is really difficult around this. It's like, it feels like you've walked into a political minefield, basically. Everything's changing. It's hard to know what has value. There is, as I say, nobody really likes each other in this. I'm sorry, that's what it looks like. It looks like it's sort of, or at least if it may not be that people dislike each other, but it's not about the heart. It's about some very big issue, and the communication is not clear. And part of what you're meant to do is, in the midst of all of this, bring the stability. And you have to do it, whether you want to do it or not. And somebody knows this system well and has to kind of help you, but they're not They don't necessarily, they may even like the old system, you know, and they may think the new system's going to have too much responsibility or something. There's sort of something where there's a very grudging, like, oh. And then you do have an ally who's loyal to this and loyal to you, and they will see it through. So that's important, but it's not, they may even suffer for it to some degree, I think. But anyway, we'll see what else we get with the tarot. So let's have a look. Let's have a look for what the role of your ally is. So the Hound here, who is loyal, but looks like it's hard yards for them in all of this. The Lovers, the Hanged Man, Justice reversed, Eight of Swords. Okay. Do you know, it's funny, it's like I've just finished watching a series on Netflix called The Diplomat. And there's a kind of a feeling a bit like this, you know, because it's about a person who is a diplomat who ends up having to take on a role they didn't want to take on, and it's people who are helping them are a bit ambivalent, and there's a loyal spouse there, but there's also ambivalence around all that. It has a very similar sort of feeling to this. I mean, it's not exactly the same story, but it just looks to me like there is, if I was saying there's no love loss, I think there is a true heart connection on one level or another between you and the Hound. And this could literally be a lover of yours, but it's like there's no love about what this is. This is not a happy quest on that level. But the ally, there is a genuine connection with them, and they would be prepared to sacrifice for you. And that may be one of the sort of things that's tricky about this, because something is not right. And there's a restriction. There's a restriction even on what they can do. And this talks about loyalty, chains, promises. It's like they'll see it through to the end. There's no doubt about that. But I feel like you wonder whether you're going to sacrifice them in some way. So I think you're trying to be careful. You're like, oh, it's a tricky situation. Let's have a look at the role of the adversary. Ace of Wands, Six of Swords, Ten of Swords reversed, Page of Cups reversed. Okay. So I think the guide here, you may have to rely on them or learn from them. They do not want the change that you're meant to bring in. They don't. They don't want this sort of ending of something. And they may feign a heart connection to what you're doing, but it's not real. There's a real kind of bitterness energy here. They appear to be giving you guidance for a smoother passageway and opening the doors almost for you, but there's something else going on with them. I mean, there could be a point at which they're almost entrapping you. This might sound weird, but it's almost as though if you follow your fate or whatever and follow their guidance, you might end up with the responsibility they don't want. So that could be the thing. There is an ending to their thing here, but they don't think the actual situation's going to end. It's like they may be wanting to hand it over, but they could lure you in. So, wow. Because you need both. You need both, I think. So it's a very complicated situation. Okay, so let's try and get a little bit more information about all of you. So I'm going to be looking at facets of each of you now. I'm going to start with the emblem oracle. So that is another aspect of each of you that is important to this. So for you, as the person who's accepting your fate or having to accept this fate and deal with it and find your way through it in a very complex environment by the looks of things, the emblem energy around you is foundation stone, building something, steps, origins. Yeah, so you are meant to be building something that lasts. That's your fate. That is your fate, whether you want it or not. You are building something. So let's see whether you're aware. So there is a coin that came with this as well too, which has a closed eye and an open eye. So I'm just going to toss it to see whether you're fully aware at the moment that you're building something. And we have the open eye. So you know that whatever this is, or when it starts, if this isn't registering now, something's coming in, like the hand of fate's coming in, and you're going to know that you are meant to be creating something. That's your role, and you know it. So let's have a look at your ally. What emblem energy is around your ally? The veil, the beyond, esoterica, the subconscious. So I think your ally is very psychic. You probably are too if you're drawing in fate. This literally could be, because of the hound, it could be a spirit guide, a spirit animal or something like that. But they are very well aware of the bigger picture around this. This is why they're sort of dedicated to it. They know it has to be. They've kind of almost made a karmic promise. I'm presuming they're going to be aware, but let's see whether they're fully aware of how spiritual this is. Eyes shut. No, they're not fully aware of how spiritual it is. It's sort of like it's a dedication to them, but they are getting information and support from beyond the veil, and they have that kind of connection, and they're there for a reason, but they're not fully aware of that yet. Let's look at the guide, the sort of world-weary guide who's sort of had to take on something, and as I say, maybe wanting to lure you in to take on the responsibility they had, like a sentinel passing on the role or something. The emblem for them, the crown, empowerment, status, authority. Okay, so they may well have got empowerment and status and authority through this. They're just, they're not happy with it though, because they feel kind of trapped by it. They may literally have inherited something. They may be a guy because they inherited a position, in an empire, some sort of worldwide conglomerate or something like that. So there's something around that is giving them their insider knowledge, and they may be sort of almost offering to pass that. But remember the thing that says heavy is the head that wears the crown. So let's see whether they're fully aware of that aspect of them. Yeah, eyes open. I would have been surprised if they weren't. They know where they've come from. They know why they have this responsibility. They know what they're doing. So that's the emblem. Let's have a look at what might be the shadow around them. So I'll just move this out of the way. So the shadow that you have to deal with around this quest is the inferno, passion, self-destruction, energy. This is very powerful. It's almost a crash through or crash energy. And it may well be triggered by something that makes you angry. That might be why you need to sort of start something new. You need to break everything down to start something new. But this is a very fiery, passionate side of you that you have to be aware of, and how you respond. It's volatile. For your ally, we have the Tempest. Movement, change, destruction. They know there's a risk for them. This is very big change. Whatever this is, whether this is around relationships, career, social, political, I wouldn't be surprised if it's political, honestly. But this is big stuff. This is big stuff, but they're going to weather the storm. And the guide, your adversary or your challenger, the sprouting, growth, endurance, resilience. Okay, so see, it's interesting. They have some insider power, some inheritance, something like that, some sort of role, and a great deal of knowledge. But they're not happy with it. They're not happy with what's growing, or they're not happy. They want to grow somewhere else, maybe. They want to sprout somewhere else. Because it probably would be something that others would look to, admire, want, or whatever, but they don't. They don't. And if you're coming in with this sort of sense of fate and destiny, I think there's a real risk here that they might try and pass on some form of responsibility to you. And it's really of the old order. And you're meant to bring in the new in some way. So it's just something to be aware of. So let's have a look at a couple of personality aspects for each of you as well. So for you, there's a deck that sometimes also has places, and I don't think that's all that helpful. So I'll shuffle again. For you, Libra, attentive, attractive, charming, and balanced. So that's helpful. You can bring balance even when there's so much going on. There's, again, like as I say, I'm thinking of that series, The Diplomat. There's something diplomatic about you. For your ally, sharp, fancy chisel, cunning tool. They're sharp, they're smart. You're all smart. This is smart people stuff. Definitely. And the guide, brown, natural, warmth, melanin friendly. There's something natural with the sprouting as well too. I think you wouldn't think that they were as dissatisfied as they appeared, and this is where they are a bit dangerous. They appear to be about growth, they appear to be about the new, they appear to be about what is natural, but they've inherited a responsibility they're not happy with. Okay, let's get another personality aspect from a different deck. So for you, olfaction, sleuthing. Okay, yeah, you need to find out more. This is a very complex situation. Your capacity to find out more, your cleverness, your capacity to be in social situations and read a room will be helpful to this. And it's important to do that and know more before you get sort of upset about things. For your ally, hearing, alertness. Okay, they're very clear. They hear and they know what's going on. It's interesting, a hound. I think a hound can hear a higher frequency than we can, I think. So I think they're sort of saying they're very, they will notice and they will hear. So listen to them. You know, they are actually very clear on what's going on. Then the guide, inhabitiveness. Okay, so this is like where they want to be. And there's nomadism. They want to move on. They fully inhabit this thing. They've inherited it. They've come into it, power, knowledge, status, whatever it is. But they want to move on. I think that's the issue. They could try and manipulate something that feels very fated to you and hand over an old regime when you're meant to sort of bring in a new one, if that makes sense. It's a very complex, delicate situation, I think, that you're dealing with. So let's get you some astrology or numerology to help you out. Saturn, yeah, it's all about responsibility, fate, karma. This is not escapable. Whatever this is, you have to go through it. None of you are escaping this. 1, yeah, you're the one. Chosen by fate. And in the end, I think this is an answer too. Like that, you will have a very loyal support who is worth listening to. They're very smart, very loyal. And you'll have this guide, but be a bit careful of them. But in the end, it's your vision. It's your thing to create. And the waxing gibbous moon, which is all about kind of letting go, clarifying goals, pushing past any of the blocks. So this is, you have to come into accordance with your fate and push past these blocks. You're shifting an old order in some way. So let's get you some magic to help you. What's your magic that can really help you manage this fate and destiny? File 2. Ascension. Remembering this is for something bigger than you. And it's like, I always think this Ascension card looks like somebody who's trying to help the masses to rise above just what already exists, all the structures, this concrete thing, what is already almost solidified, so that you're meant to rise people out of it, not just take over the mantle and just do the same old. That's kind of what this is saying. And kitchen magic. Okay, I'm feeling like that's like, you know, look after your own sort of energy, you know, get some good diet and nutrition, you know, use herbs, all that kind of thing, just to keep yourself in balance, because it's quite a bit going on. So last but not least, I'm just going to get your kind of secret advantage from the Rainbow Oracle that really helps you in your hero's quest here. Divine Feminine, flow in the rhythm of the divine heart, your cosmic gateway to all of creation. It may well be that part of what you're trying to bring in is more of the divine feminine, something that's really solidified in the divine masculine, and that's important. Or it's just in being receptive to your fate, not fighting it. because this person had a fate too, I think, and is fighting it. And this person will be loyal to the ends about this, but could sacrifice themselves. You've got to somehow just be receptive and let it happen. That way you can probably help your friend from not being sacrificial in it, and you can probably avoid the trap that there is in sort of just becoming the old order in a new form. So I hope that that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the champion. So as I said in the introduction, the achievement, but also the risk of downfall. Like whenever you are kind of a champion, you're in a competition of some sort, or a quest, as we're talking about, of some sort. So there is always the promise of achievement, but there's also the promise of the opposite. And this is where it becomes very important to understand your antagonist or your adversary and what could happen. So what this tends to say, according to the deck, is that you're likely to have achieved something recently. You're likely to, it could be anything. You could have graduated, you could have got a new job, you could have won in a particular sporting area or something. It could be anything. You are riding high at the moment on achieving, or you can taste it and you're just about to have an achievement. And this is part of a longer campaign. It is, as I say, if it's a sporting thing, maybe you're going to be someone who does that for your vocation. So you're like it's one game, but then you've got to win the next game or whatever. There's a sense of continuing in a competition, continuing to try to win, continuing to try to achieve, all of those sort of things. So there's something in your life at the moment in your hero quest about that, about the achievement and about winning and about competition in some way. But always being aware that if you are in any kind of competition, you may not win. And so what is it that you need to do to win? So your ally, interestingly, is the botanist. So this is about parenthood legacy. This says that you have an ally who's maybe either a parent, a nurturer, a life giver, a carer, or maybe a teacher of some sort. Like if it was a sporting thing, it could be a coach or something like that. But this is someone whose role is very much about nurturing and making sure that you grow and become all you could be. So somebody in your life is performing that role and that function for you, which is helpful. You know that you have a very loyal, very nurturing energy around you. You also have somebody who would not stoop to trickery and deception to win, and someone who may try and do it through enchanting you or drawing you in. This could be someone who wants to lure you into a fool's errand, or it could be someone who is sort of like attractive to you or whatever, and is drawing you in and drawing you away from when you could win. I'm getting a very strong sort of sense here with the story of Samson and Delilah, so Delilah, when she cut off Samson's hair, that kind of energy. So it could be in that kind of relationship, or it could just be in some other one where somebody who will win at any cost. This person will win at any cost. You would want to do it as a true achievement, and you've been brought up with really good principles, but you're possibly dealing with people who play dirty or who'll enchant you and draw you away from your power. So let's get a little bit more information about how this is playing out at the moment with tarot. So we're going to ask a little bit more about your hero quest, then we're going to ask about the role of the ally and the adversary. So a little bit more about what is this championship that you are in at the moment. Eight of Wands, King of Wands, Five of Swords, High Priestess, Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so there's something about speed, creativity, movement. You literally it could be a sporting thing, could be a creative endeavor, but it's something where speed is of the essence, something where movement and enthusiasm is important, and where your charisma is important. You have a lot of charisma and creative development. Actually, you're very, very well skilled at whatever this is. You've been brought up, taught very well, or you're just naturally very, very, very good at it. That's why you're the champion. Whatever this is something you really excel at, and you move quickly towards it. You're skilled in the area of battle. You actually do know how to walk away when something is not going to be won. And so you're probably a champion now because you've also worked out when something wasn't worth the effort, and where something you had to accept defeat, learn from it and move on. You're very spiritually attuned, and you kind of understand the mystery that is developing into being the King of Wands, that kind of thing. You also know that certain certain activities are not going to return on investment. So it's like, it would be like, again, using a sporting metaphor, if you were an extremely good, I don't know, baseball player, you would have a good sense of what particular sorts of competitions to be in, what sort of teams would be good, where is there a good outcome. And you do have a knowledge, you do know that sometimes you have to learn by making a few wrong decisions about that and then move away to get the full knowledge, the full understanding of what you're doing. So this is hard won. You probably lost quite a few times before you got to being the champion, but you're champion because you kept going and you understood and you're very mature about it. And I think probably your ally here has given you that real sense of learning and support and encouragement. So that's good. Let's see what the ally is giving you. Because it's just as important to know when it's not a good battle as it is to win every battle. In fact, winning every battle, it's probably next to impossible, but even if you did do it, maybe some of them aren't really worth it. So let's see what the botanist, this sort of nurturing, caring character has brought to your championship, pile 3. 4 of Wands reversed. The Lovers, okay. The Empress. The 10 of Cups. Okay. I think there might be 2. And I think they're taking 2 different roles, but they would both fall under this. I think there's 2. I think one is the primary nurturing person. Your mother or something, probably your mother with the Empress, who gave you a sense of sort of good principles and good emotional equilibrium. The other is potentially a lover or a partner. Actually, it may not be 2. This might actually be showing is that you came from maybe a family or a situation or whatever this is that wasn't in harmony. And this is a connection that brought true heart and true nurturing to you. But this may not be, like a parent. This may be, as I say, a coach or a lover, someone like that, but someone who has a very caring, very sort of, that's what they're about. That's who they are in a core. So it's probably more likely to be a lover or a friend who is bringing you that. But if it is a parent, then maybe it was one who was strong in this and there was actually conflict with the other, because with the 4 of Wands reversed, and I do think it's interesting the Lovers is there. So I feel like this isn't less likely to be actually your primary caregiver and more likely to be someone who's taken on a similar role but may also have an emotional connection to you. It's nice though, whatever it is, but it recognizes how to heal and bring you harmony and bring you into balance when there's disharmony, and there's obviously going to be disharmony when you're in some form of competition. So let's see with this Enchanter, because this Enchanter could be a potential lover as well too. As I say, it depends on how it plays out. So let's see the role of the Enchanter. 3 of Cups reversed. Death. Ace of Cups. King of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel like what's playing out here is that there are potentially 2 suitors almost to you, and one is a genuine caring person who would support you. Another wants to draw you into intrigue, make you make choices, make you focus on them, and kind of control you in a way, or take your power, or it could even be that if you are the champion, this person doesn't want to stop you from what you're doing, but they want to benefit from it. So I feel like this is a bit of a battle between true love and seduction. That's what it kind of looks like to me. So let's see what else we get. So we're going to actually look at a bit more about the personality and energy levels for each of you. So we're going to start firstly with the other deck that came with the Citadel Oracle. So this is the Emblem Oracle. So this is an emblematic energy around each of you. So firstly for you, in regard to this championship and where the caring is and where the sort of deception is, like for you in playing this through and going on your hero quest, we have Chalice, revelry, intoxication, generosity, love. This is a strong energy on you, I've got to say. I think if this is enchantment, it's not sort of like an obvious adversary, it's enchantment. So you need to be aware of it, because there is a true heart over here, but there's sort of something else going on over there, whether it's literally as a lover or whether it's just the sort of energy they use. Now, we have a coin that has an eye open and an eye shut. So I'm just going to just throw it for this to see whether you're fully aware of this energy operating for you in this situation. Eye open, that's good. You know that there's sort of something here that you've got to watch around. And when you're celebrating a win or whatever, you've got to watch around who is truly supporting you and nourishing you, and who might be kind of drawing you into something that's not going to be helpful for you. Let's have a look at this very caring energy around you. Perfume, vanity, deception, performative. You may think they're very similar, because this is a genuine person and this is a genuine ally, but they're coming across. I mean, it is interesting, perfume, and then we've got the roses blooming there, or the flowers, whatever it is. There is something, you probably sense a great sweetness in this person, but I think you're not sure whether you can trust it. Like, it's like you're really torn between two, and one is really, really the real deal, but I don't think you're sure about it. Or they may be sort of thinking, are they going to have to deal with that over there? Let's see whether they're aware of how you're sort of responding to them. No, eyes shut. They don't know. They're very pure-hearted. They're not this. If you think that there's a figure that is, nurturing, but maybe is too good to be true, they're actually not too good to be true. Part 3. Let's have a look at the energy around the enchanter. Locket, commitment, loved ones, partnership. Wow. Okay, so the challenge you've got at the moment, I've got to say, is that you are the champion. You're drawing in a lot of energy, and there is a genuine sort of supporting, nurturing side here, but you're not sure about it. Over here, you're thinking this might be the right one, but they just want what they can get out of it. This is tricky. Let's see whether they're very well aware of what they're doing. Eyes wide open. Yeah, they're very aware of what they're doing. So, okay, all right. Let's have a look at the shadow side of this. This is really interesting. It feels like, as I say, you're some form of a star, some form of a champion, someone on the rise, all of that kind of thing. But like, there's two options around you. And like, if it's not a love option, it's where you put your energy and where you put your faith. And I think at the moment, you've got to be a bit careful. So let's see the shadow around you. The end, death, closure, finality. This is not a life and death thing, but this is really like making the wrong choice around this, and the wrong commitment could bring an end to what you're really trying to achieve. So you need to take this seriously. The shadow energy around your ally. The saint. Purity, martyrdom. Yeah, they're very good. There's a very good energy, but they may sacrifice themselves for your happiness. Wow, this is almost a Shakespearean feeling to it, I've got to say. All right, let's have a look over here for the shadow side to the enchanter. The enduring, wisdom, restraint, balance. They know better. They know better. And they are going after something long term. It's just that they're going after it for their reasons, because there's something deceptive in this. But they want the long term. They want the enduring. So if this was like between two love partners, this one wants to get married for all the wealth and association with you. This one would want to nurture you and support you, to help you. If this was in a business thing, this one wants a connection with you because they can see that's going to be materially good for them. This one would want the connection, even if it was at their own loss, to support you. But like, it's like you've got them back to front in your thinking. So let's see if we can help. Let's find some personality characteristics. So firstly, a personality characteristic for each of you from the Them in Colour deck. So for you, I'm just reshuffling whenever I get something that's about a country that people are from, because that's not really going to help us particularly. So for you, Brown, natural warmth, melanin friendly. Yeah, you just want everybody to be happy, and you want to sort of just enjoy the competition, and like, you're a very natural, warm person. So you're not actually necessarily analyzing this as well as you could, pile through, I've got to be honest. So the ally energy, violet, crown, royalty, compassionate, sensitive. This is a really lovely person. A really lovely person. It also has that feeling of like 80s, sort of like those John Hughes movies and stuff, where there was always like a sidekick who was always actually very loyal and lovely. It's got a feeling like that. And let's have a look at the personality aspect of the enchanter. Libra, attentive, attractive, charming. Yeah, they're very charming. They know what to do, very socially skilled. This is not easy. Pile 3. Okay, let's have a look at from another deck, some other personality characteristics. So for you, causality, reason, logic or lack thereof. Yeah, it's your choices in this have consequences. You need to have good reasons for it, not just to go on a gut instinct. Because right now I've got to say, this person is incredibly beguiling, and you just need to be aware of that. Another personality aspect around your ally. Self-esteem, dignity. Yeah, they're dignified. They're not going to push themselves forward. I really like their energy, but for some reason, you almost think it's like it's too good to be true, and that's not actually true. Over here for the enchanter, ideality, refinement, indulgence. Yeah, they really know how to present themselves. They're very, very attractive, which is the risk for the champion here. So, okay, let's get you some astrology and numerology to help. This is hard, I have to say. So let's see what help we can get you. Scorpio. I was thinking Scorpio too, with that kind of death finality. There's probably within you a depth that you could really get to do this. If you could get to that, if you could almost look at these things through the eyes of a Scorpio, you'll understand this energy a bit better. Venus. Yeah, it's all about love. All things that are beautiful. What is beautiful to you? And Saturn return. What will you commit to? And what are you trying to build for the future? What is the mature choice? Pile 3. Okay, let's get you some magic to help. Because you're not doing anything wrong. It's just I'd say this is such a beguiling energy. And they may even be saying things that make you doubt this person over here. I wouldn't be surprised, because as I said, remember, they will do whatever they need to do to get what they want. And they want you, but they want you in some way, like, in terms of love or career or whatever. They want you for what you could make for them, I think. This is not an enchanter who's trying to win against you. This is someone who's trying to win you. So let's sort of see what magic you have to help you. Banish, yeah, the capacity to banish. Banish that energy. And banish anything that is not true and authentic to you. And influence. Understand the influence that is happening here. This is kind of that kind of, almost sort of fey influence. What's real, what isn't real. Banish influence that is not honourable. Okay, so to finish off, we're just going to get a card from the Rainbow Oracle to show your kind of like natural advantage in this, the thing that really will help you come out as the champion, come out as the hero in the end. Explore. A soul adventure calls you. Explore the uncharted waters of your inner and outer world. Yeah, you need to look at this more deeply, that's all. If you look at it more deeply and start to understand the beguiling nature of this and the true nature of this, and then maybe even like second guess if you're being told things by this one about this one, maybe really try and look at, is there evidence of any of that? I think that you'll be able to realize where the true support is, but you're something about your skill and your ability has made you a very, very attractive prospect, and that's wonderful, but you've got to be very careful about who wants to be connected with you as a result. So I hope that registers for you. I hope it resonates and was helpful. If so, Please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.